did the play's pack punch? Let's find out.
Manhattan Theater Club is presenting Punch, written by James Graham, directed by Adam Penford, and it's from a true story of Jacob Dunn, who was a Nottingham lad who, with his mates, would go pub crawling, go to cricket games, and engage in selling and using drugs and a lot of fighting. One time, to support his mates, he punches a guy once and kills him. Because of this, he ends up in jail for manslaughter for 3 years. The parents of the dead boy feel that justice was not done, and Jacob should have gotten harsher punishment. The first act is very quick, with Jacob narrating his life at a rapid pace and lots of choreographed movements of the group to give the sense that his lifestyle led for no time for reflection or individuality. The second act covers more years, but is slower paced and conversational. Because of working with a social worker in a system known as recuperative justice, which helps both the perpetrator and the victim's family to overcome trauma associated with the killing. Will Jacob and the victim's parents be able to overcome their trauma and come to a better understanding? And it's no real surprise they do, and they both help each other to come to a fuller and more meaningful life. This is an extraordinary play, and the main actor playing Jacob, Will Harrison, gives one of the most incredible, spectacular Broadway debuts I've ever seen. Don't miss this truly great play.
This was an incredible look, really strong look at a kid who does something terrible and didn't mean to, and how he tries to find redemption within himself and his family, who's like, you're a good kid. I feel so, the mother felt so bad for the other mother and wanted to speak to her, and she didn't know what to do with all those feelings. And then there's the family who's like, they lost their son to this senseless act, and how do they come to terms with it? And it was just so brilliantly done. And you did, yes, Victoria Clark and Will Harrison as the mother of the victim, and as the guy who, the perpetrator, were brilliant. But also we have Sam Robards as David, the father, who is on the fence in all this. All he wanted was basically to like have this guy die for what he did to his son. And the mother is much more forgiving than the, you know, the father is, and he has to come to his own feelings in terms with how they did this. And the character of Jacob, he's like a cross between like the gangs of West Side Story and the gangs of A Clockwork Orange. So it's all these people trying to come to terms with a terrible, really horrible accident that was unnecessary, could have been avoided. But this poor guy Jacob, you know, he had autism, he had dyslexia, his father was out of the picture, he had a younger brother, his mother worked really hard. It was like working class family. It was just all these things jumbled up and trying to make sense of it all. And these are just, it's a true story, so these are real people dealing with this incredible, like, unreal situation that's real. So it is really amazing and good, and it's only going on till November 2nd, and you really, really need to see it. And I think I don't know if I mentioned that it was called How They Got Together. There's this real thing called Remedy Restorative Services. That's an actual thing that tries to bring the victims and the perpetrators together so they can, you know, get some sort of healing and closure for everyone involved, to, like, you know, come to terms with what you did and move on with your life, and for the, you know, the family to come to terms with what happened and get on with their lives. So it's really good, and this service is amazing. There was a talk back afterwards, and I just love this play. I recommend it to everybody. Happy, major, major happy face.
I agree. It deserves a major happy face. At La Mama, you could see Tim Blake Nelson's And Then We Were No More, directed by Mark Lynn Davey. This is a dystopian play set in a Kafkaesque future with a supposedly improved penal system and painless executions. Scott Shepard plays the official who's the voice of the organization. He recruits Elizabeth Marvel, who plays a lawyer who will represent the inmate played by Elizabeth Yeoman. The inmate murdered her husband, two children, and her mother. After cruel experimentation, basically torture, in a different facility, the inmate now seems to be brain damaged and only talks in a kind of word salad. But the lawyer was able to figure out that she does not want to undergo the painless execution. The lawyer makes a impassioned plea for mercy, much like Portia. But will the system allow for that? An analyst played by Jennifer Machbach has gotten rich from selling this machine to various foreign countries. Also, there's Henry Stramus, the glib machinist, who's so proud of this machine. Like most dystopian dramas, this is schematic and I think disappointing. The second act is especially disappointing. I would recommend this only to people who love these wonderful performers, Mixed Faces.
Jen Tulloch and Frank Winter's Nothing Can Take You from the Hand of God at Playwrights Horizon is about Frances, who has written a memoir about what happened when the church and parents found out she was gay. Frances, also known as Kristen, remembers incidents differently from the people she talks about in her book. The church wants her to take out certain passages as they are considered to be a wrongful likeness. Frances goes back to her hometown and encounters her family, her mother and brother, old loves, and the current preacher at her former church. Will she find forgiveness and redemption? I have no idea, as this has to be the most confusing play ever written or performed. And she's a wonderful performer, don't get me wrong. I was just as confused trying to read it, as it jumps around so much with the different characters. This should not be a one person play. And like I said, she's brilliant. And it doesn't need to be. If different actors played the different characters and it didn't jump in time and place so much between an interviewer, agent, back in the hometown, this might be a good play about the intolerance of homosexuality. I think this is what the play was about, but I could be wrong. Maybe Stephen Kearley, my co-host, will have a better take on this play, which you will find when he writes about it on Facebook, because he's seeing it later on. Nothing can make me comprehend this play. Unhappy face.
Oh Happy Day by Jordan E. Cooper at the Public Theater. A retelling of the story of Noah's Ark, Oh Happy Day imagines a queer young man named Keyshawn as the Noah figure, living in modern-day Mississippi and earning money through sex work. Accompanied by three glamorous gospel-singing graces, introduced to us as death doulas, Keyshawn goes to see his estranged father, sister, and nephew at their tattered home for the disapproving father's birthday. Keyshawn starts seeing God in the form of his family members who send him a message. He must build an ark and save his family from a coming flood. A highly spiritual story, Keyshawn converses with God, who appears in the form of his young nephew Kevin, his sister Nisi, and his father Lewis. These conversations pose familiar questions about why God allows suffering, but the strong performances make the answers feel fresh. Indeed, there is always something new to contemplate. The death doulas have heavenly singing voices, as does Tamika Lawrence in the role of Nisi. Lawrence is a true tour de force, an emotionally intense, highly skilled actor, and when she appears on the roof as God and sings with the gospel trio, she blows that roof right off. Donovan Bazemore as Kevin and Brian D. Coates, who was the understudy the day I saw it, as Lewis, give lovely performances. Bazemore a whiz at tween befuddlement, and Coates full of raging pain. Jordan E. Cooper, the playwright, in the role of Keyshawn, performs in a way that's different from his obviously trained fellow actors. His voice is a little less crisp. He might turn his back toward the audience. His gaze might fall to the floor. But he never fails to capture the emotional truth of the moment. Intending to appear in the role when he wrote the play, citation Maryland Theater Guide, He can stand alone in the earthiness of his performance. The stifled voice, the all too human movements build this outlier, this downtrodden figure turned prophet. The family's worn house features some fun scenic and costume tricks when God speaks through family members. An empty barrel suddenly supports Kevin, where he wore red socks and Niecy wore denim in the real world. When they play God, the clothes turn white and sparkly. The gospel trio is head to toe satin and spangles, and I couldn't take my eyes off Keyshawn's sequin-covered jeans and Louis Vuitton t-shirt. The flood hasn't arrived yet, but maybe there's something divine in him already. Plenty of humor comes from some great one-liners. Quote, clear as nun's piss. Quote, being gay and eating sausage is not the same thing. The gospel trio's energy is at 110%. It's a great day to be happy, they sing. But what does being happy mean here? In all the anger, tears, love, and song, once we're tired out, I think it means to be at peace. And full disclosure, the very talented Donovan Bazemore, who played Kevin, attended middle school where I currently teach. I did not teach him, but I know him and I've seen him perform several times. Happy face.
Yeah, scenic design was by Luciana Stecconi, and the costume design was by Queen Jean. And it's just really such a good idea. Like, there's this guy who, he's a disgrace to the family. Nobody trusts him. And he has got to get them to listen to him. But how can you get someone to listen to you who just doesn't believe in you anymore? It's like, how can you get people to listen to God anymore when nobody believes anymore because of all the terrible things going on in the world? So Jordan Cooper, who wrote Ain't No More, he's one of my favorite playwrights. He's just a brilliant writer, and this cast was wonderful. And we should note that Brian Coates is now totally in the part. There's no understudy. He's no longer the understudy. And I give this a major happy face too. Here we are with Rosie Corr, who I'm very excited is bringing back Matt and Ben, which I saw years ago at the Fringe with Mindy Kaling about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. So why are you bringing this back? And tell everybody what the plot is. It is hilarious.
Yeah, so I am so excited to be bringing this laugh out loud comedy back to the city. So Matt and Ben is a story about Matt Damon, Ben Affleck sitting there in Ben's apartment trying to write a good screenplay, and from the sky and the hand of God drops the screenplay for Good Will Hunting. And basically the rest of the show is them trying to figure out, is this a curse? Is it a gift from God? Is somebody trying to trick them? And crazy hijinks ensue. They fight over who's going to be the star of Good Will Hunting. It gets very crazy. And at the same time, we get to see this really lovely friendship between two men. And something that really excites me is, as was originally conceived by Mindy Kaling and Brenda Withers, is this is not supposed to be a real true representation of what Matt and Ben would be like, right? We're not casting two men who look like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Our cast is a wonderful queer representation, both by a male and female who are working together in these roles that they would not be traditionally cast in, and having so much fun playing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. They are Julie Sandler as Ben Affleck and Will Tway as Matt Damon. And we have been working so hard. We've been having so much fun. And we're really just excited to bring this idea of just radical joy and a chance to laugh to our audiences. We think that it is a very hard time in the world right now. And there's so much beautiful activism. There's so much beautiful activist art. And you need to really have a time to rejuvenate, to fill back up your cup in order to keep fighting for all the things that are important in the world. And so we hope that this is what that can be, is a chance to really fill back up your cup, to laugh, to get joy from theater, and to just have a good time.
And where will it be playing and for how long?
This will be at the New Box Theater in Midtown. It is playing November 13th through 16th for 5 performances, a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evening, and then a Saturday and Sunday matinee. Evenings are at 7, matinees are at 2.
And let's hope it gets a longer run. Somebody sees it and says, oh, it must be a DR2 now.
I sure hope so.
Thank you very much. Considering with our religious theme, we now have Lauren Duca, who has written this very entertaining sounding, because I haven't seen it yet, but I love the title. How embarrassing is Jesus? I mean, with a title like that, aren't you terrified of, the religious right coming after you and the creature in the White House coming down like the wrath of, whatever.
Yes, well, they already have. And so so that is, I think I've sort of double jeopardied that situation because my past and the beginning of the show is that I went viral for writing a piece called Donald Trump is Gaslighting America. And 2 weeks after that, I was on Tucker Carlson's show, who now, we know is a multimillionaire propagandist, somewhat personally responsible for the rise of Christian fascism, really doesn't get enough credit. But I didn't fully know who he was when I was on his show. So I was sort of Little Miss Resistance in 2016. I had 500,000 followers on Twitter. I wrote a book about young people overcoming political alienation. I have bad news about that and how that's been going. But ultimately, being super famous online was terrible. And it nearly killed me even before I got canceled, which was for bullying kids at NYU. It raises a lot of questions, like, was I ever qualified to teach at NYU? Why were those kids so annoying? But ultimately, I quit the internet really right before I think everybody got fully addicted to being online, and the pandemic, I almost got kicked off. And I had sort of achieved these insane levels of success and internet fame, and then I was offline, and I decided to pursue the next career path, which was to join a cult. And so this is all my real life. This is all completely true. I went and sat with ayahuasca many times, over 100 times, which, for context, ayahuasca is an extreme psychedelic medicine, and once is enough for a lot of people. And so I really lost myself, and I ultimately had to be saved by a rainbow alien praying mantis named Jesus. And so that is the point of the show when I have to ask, how weird is that for everyone? Are we okay? Does it help that I am queer? And to what extent should we or can we rebrand Jesus, God, consciousness? I sort of believe, after everything I've been through, that we all can be talking about consciousness, and that consciousness is really just energy and attention. And so this show is sort of a very insane saga, but also attempting to bring us down to earth and say we can talk about our energy. And we don't have to use, even the term spirituality is a little awkward, a little long, but how can we talk about who we are and what our presence is and what our attention is and why we're here? And I think that getting kicked off the internet made me a lot more present than I was when I was addicted to it. And ayahuasca helped a little bit too. So that is my story. It is a comedy show, even though it doesn't sound like it. And it is very queer, and it is also pretty trippy.
Oh, it sounds like you traded one addiction for another.
Yes.
But I'm not good at, I don't know controversy. So it's like, it's all lost on me. So I'm always like, why do these people, like, I just saw the Dylan Mulvaney, the least problematic woman in the world. Like, why do people make a fuss because she likes beer? That made no sense to me. So what is this thing about you bullying NYU students? I don't know. What made them think that? That sounds weird to me.
Yeah, you know what? Being a young woman who wanted to write about politics was very confusing to everyone, and I was sort of attacked at all these different angles. But in retrospect, it was such a gift because I was able to kind of give up this mask that was me online, and this person that I am is so radically different from the me that was online. And in the biggest way is that I think I would say I'm a happy person now. And I was not before. And I really was able to kind of give up. Like, I think we all have this like idea of ourselves, that who we are online and what other people think of what we've ever said online, and to be kind of forced to abort that was really this huge gift to me because I was able to find out who am I and what is it like to have fun.
It's like they canceled your caterpillar and you emerged a butterfly.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm like, this show sounds so cool. It's something I just like, oh, I'm so glad you're putting it out there. And when is it going to be? And I hope it gets picked up for a nice long run somewhere. Like I said before, I hope you get a double feature with Rosie Corr at the DR2.
Hell yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited about this. I've been working on it. I developed it at Fringe. I did it in LA at the Lyric Hyperion. I did it at Caveat. This show will be Thursday, November 6th, 7 p.m. at Union Hall. And you do not have to be spiritual. The atheists like it as well. Everybody laughs. And really, I don't think anyone should ever be told to read the Bible, because the font is too small. And so everyone is welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. David Cale's Blue Cowboy is at the Bushwick Starr, which is at a new location, still on the L line, but it's now the Halsey stop. Anyway, poor David Cale finds himself, this city slicker in Idaho, trying to write an impossible screenplay surrounded by elk, mountains, and sheep. Instead, David finds a close friendship with Will, a cowboy he meets by chance when Will's dog Shelly takes a liking to him. As they get to know each other, will it develop into something more? Can it be, given that they are in cowboy territory where homosexuality is frowned upon? How can you even tell if someone is gay? How can this friendship even continue with David only there for a month? David Cale is a master storyteller. It's just a simple story about a complex situation told with tenderness and hilarity. This is worth a trip to Brooklyn, beyond Happy Face.
Currently showing at 59 East 59th Street Theater is Dreadful Episodes, a wonderful little theater piece from the Happenstance Theater Group, a collaborative bunch based out of Washington, D.C. Dreadful Episodes is a very Edward Gorey-esque evening of entertainment. For anybody who likes Gorey and his dark cartoons, this is the theater piece for you. It's extremely Victorian in its acting and its costuming. The actors, of whom Mark Jastrob and Sabrina Mandel, the co-founders, lead Stephanie Baird, the piano player, Gwen Grassdorf, Sarah Olmsted Thomas, and Jay Owen, through an ever wilder series of romps and mishappenings, is just, it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, there are very short 30-second episodes. There are 5-minute episodes. You never know what you're going to get. And although initially they may seem all disconnected, as the evening progresses, little by little, you see that some of them actually begin to intertwine. And at the end, there is a denouement that pulls a bunch of them together. The sets are minimal. The costumes are fantastic. I thought they were real Victorian pieces, but they're not. The music runs the gamut from Ludwig van Beethoven to Tom Waits, with some folk music from England thrown in as well. And it's just wonderful. The actors are tremendous. They are so tight working together. You can tell they've been together for years. They do pantomime, they dance, they mug. It's just wonderful. I give it a major Happy Face plus. It's playing through November 2nd. Again, if you like Edward Gorey or Victorian horror, definitely go see it.
And to continue Lisa's review, because she mentioned some of the titles, The Curious Cousins is an amusing tale of two young girls driving their child-loathing uncle, whom they live with, further and further into seething irritation. And Mannequin depicts a hammy actor silently giving a performance that doesn't need words to elicit enjoyment. And then at the end, there's this croquet match that is just goes on forever, and it's just on slow motion, and it just gets so out of hand. And it's just like their physical and comedic technique is just, I love Happenstance Company so much. And oh my gosh, the one, he's sort of like with the top hat and almost like the MC of the evening.
That's Mark Jastrub.
Oh my gosh, the way his expressions and everything, it took me forever. I'm like, he's reminding me of someone, and I realized it was Teller from Penn and Teller, the silent one who, can't talk, so he has to use his expressions just like this guy did. But I love these people. They get a beyond major happy face for me. If you ever see Happenstance Theater Company, you just run to 59th Street to see them, because every time they do something, it is so brilliant. Our next show is November 15th, and here is our theater listings. Special events. Salon Sanctuary Concerts at St. Mark's Church in the Bowery is doing Paradise Tossed, Queen of Heaven, Queens in Hell. And Pen Pals is back at the DR2 with a rotating cast until November 9th. You got Catherine Curtin and Marcia Cross. And Fucked Up Fairytales is back at the first of the month, November 1st, Rising Sun Performance Company at the Rat in Brooklyn. Cherry Pitts and Handsome Brad are presenting their Hotsy Totsy tribute to Peanuts Snoopy Come Home, November 13th at the Slipper Room. I made a slip there, and it's at 7 o'clock. And closing November 3rd is Theater in Quarantine is doing Phantom of the Opera. It's Skirball, but it's remote, and it's the guy, Joshua Gelb, is a genius what he can do with video and stuff. And closing November 7th is Jewish Plot. It'll be on our Facebook page, the review. Closing November 8th, Awaken Sing at Sea Dog Theater. Closing November 8th also is Hugh Church, Ars Nova. Closing November 9th is Hannah Senesh at the National Yiddish Theater Folksbein. The review will be on the Facebook page. Bat Boy is the Encore Gala presentation at New York City Center. Review on the Facebook page. I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it in ages. And closing November 15th is a Wasp at a private loft in the financial district. So go to our listing to see where you have to, find out about it on the website. Closing November 16th at MCC is Caroline. Did You Eat at My Theater Company at the Public, and our favorites, 54 Below, Joe's Pub, and 92 NY. I hope you had a wonderful Halloween and still have candy left over.